Today we're going to be doing the glazing method, and all it is we're going to just layer colors and we're going to look at the basic mass tone of what we're seeing and we're going to put it in. Now with this technique we are going to darken the painting and we're going to kill whites. However, whites can be added in during the glazing process. However, you want to get like most of your glazes done first. So, and white is an opaque paint, so if you want to go in with white, you might want to go in later after you glaze. There's some areas where I might want to add some white, I'm not sure. But if I'm adding white, most likely I'm not going to be using titanium white, I'm going to be using a zinc white because it's a little bit more transparent and we don't want to lose a lot of what we built here. The whole point of this technique is to use transparent colors over opaque layers. Really do glazing. This is a technique the old masters used to use. I haven't really decided what I'm going to use for glazing this time. Last time we used this medium, solvent-free medium, and we painted it all into the surface as a liquid clear. I don't think I'm going to do it this time. I don't think I'll need to because my mediums are already really oily, so I think it will spread just fine. Plus, we're 3 layers past the gesso layer, so I think any absorbency by now is gone. The oil has sealed this painting up. I really don't want to use this as a glaze, but I'm thinking what I want to use it for is as a dryer, because what I am thinking of using as a glaze is refined linseed oil, and I put just like a little bit of turpentine, mineral spirits. I put a little bit of mineral spirits in it, but not a lot because we're onto a lot fattier layers of this paint. I might even add a little bit more linseed oil to this mix, just so it's not too thin. My biggest problem with using linseed oil, and I've never used it before, I'm still new to this. This is the first time that I'm even getting to use my colors, and when you use colors for the first time, you really should swatch it out. I swatched out a couple colors that I have. I swatched out my Alizarin Crimson and some of my more opaque paints. But this is going to be the first time, even for me, working on this with these colors. Not that I haven't worked with colors before, but every time you use a new paint tube, colors might behave different than other colors with the same exact name that might look just slightly different. So I'm not sure what I'm going to get out of this. I'm hoping I get close to this, and I think I will. We're going to be using transparent paints, and at least 2 of my paints here are transparent. Alizarin Crimson, we're going to be using Ultramarine Blue, and Cadmium Yellow Pale. And Cadmium Yellow Pale is opaque, but because we're using medium, it's going to be thinned down a lot. Plus, this is already transparent, so that might extend it a bit. And what I mean by extend is, you got paint pigment molecules, and in an opaque paint, there's a lot of them, and that's why you can't see through them. But if you can get those pigments to separate a bit from each other, and be with other more transparent paints, it will make it a little bit more see-through, and our medium's going to help us do this. And the reason I don't want to use this as a glazing medium is you can thin down the paints quite a bit, but I don't know if I want to wind up with streaking. However, using just this in the tutorial today, using just linseed oil and solvent, it's not going to dry really fast, and it might be a long time before I can do another layer. I'm thinking I might just add just enough of this to make the consistency of my paint smooth and make it just dry just a little bit faster. But we're going to be using my Glaze medium mix.
First, we're going to start by putting out a pile of Alizarin Crimson. Next, we're going to put out a pile of Cadmium Yellow Pale. A little bit of linseed oil comes out, but that's normal. This is just a fresh tube of yellow. Also, I put out a pile of French Ultramarine Blue. Next, I'm going to be putting out a pile of Gamblin solvent-free gel. I do realize that I should have probably used more, because I was planning on going to do another layer, and I didn't use as much as I should have, but what I would say is to measure it out. You got like a little pile that's, let's say it's the size of a dollop of sour cream. I'm just using sour cream as an analogy. You want to put out as much as a pea-sized amount of medium to your pile of paint, and instead of putting the medium into my mixes like I did last time, this time I put it right into my pile of paint, and I didn't have the problem of having streaking happening, also because of my Glaze medium mix that I made helped level out brush marks.
Alright, now we're going to match our colors. We're going to mix on the palette. Then we're going to take our knife and we're going to be like, is that close? Now with these dark colors, it might not be. Because you got to keep in mind what we're doing is tinting. We're not matching colors because we already got our values in. Usually when you're mixing colors, you also got to mix the colors and plus have the values in mind and match it. But because the values are already there, those values will show up underneath. So we need to, I would recommend looking for like maybe the most vibrant. We'd probably look here. This is around the color that the whole entire painting is like around like this, and it looks to me to be an orange. Now, when we mix it, red and yellow, you're going to get a very vibrant orange. And you can do that. So what do we add? We use the 3 colors. Let's say there's a yellow here. There's some yellow on the eyes. And you don't go right into pure yellow. It's too yellow, too red, too blue. So you add a little bit of red to it, but then it looks a little too orange. So you tone it down with a little bit of blue. That's how we'll tone the orange down. Whenever you have a color that you need to tone down, use the opposite color on the color wheel.
Alright, first I'm starting by mixing my mass tone. And what I want to start doing is using Alizarin Crimson and Cadmium Yellow Pale. And I'm going to be bringing my knife up to my image, my palette knife, and trying to match the color to the best of my ability. I'm going to dull this color out by adding the opposite color on the color wheel, which is blue. So I'm just going to keep doing this until the colors match. There's different ways I could go about doing this. I could put down my red first and then put down my yellow, or put down yellow and then red. But at this point, I'm just mixing my color, so I'm more close to where I want to be.
Alright, I do apologize. Part of this video got cut off. I added some blue to tone down my yellow, or to tone down my orange, which darkened it. So I added some red, which also darkened it first. I had to keep adding more yellow and then add more red. And you just move it around and move it around until you get what you want. What we did was we added also this, unfortunately the camera didn't pick this up, we added more oil to this just to make it a little bit more oily. This is not the final layer, but this is our fattier layer, so there needs to be more oil in your paint. And what we did was we put some down and dipped our brush into it, and then we put it down and we pulled in the color into the medium. Rather than sticking the medium directly into the paint, we just pulled a little bit of pigment, and it's what we got here. You can see I put some paint on. I didn't realize that it was not recording, but I found out quick enough before I moved on any further. And we're still got a ways to go. But as you can see my work underneath it. That's the whole point of this process.
Alright, I do apologize that I didn't get the beginning of the painting filmed. I guess I had a problem with my video camera, but thankfully we didn't get too far into this. I'm just taking my Glaze medium and putting it down on the palette next to my pile of mixed colors, and then pulling the colors into my medium, and it will like act like colored glass.
I could get rid of this if I want. I could say I don't like this, and I could just take a paper towel and wipe it away. And as you can see, I'll do some. Like right here, I already don't like, even though I darkened this, I don't like this green.
Alright, so I just mentioned that if I don't like something, I could wipe it away. At this point, it doesn't really matter because nothing's gonna ruin the painting. If you don't like it, just wipe it away and just keep mixing your color until you get something that you want, that's close to where you want it. Now, this painting didn't turn out as vibrant as it should have. I would compare it to Poopy. I thought it looked pretty poopy after it was done, but don't worry about that. It's better to have it be too dull than to have it be too bright and vibrant and look cartoony. In the next paint layer, which I've already finished recording video for, I do increase the vibrancy and brightness, overall brightness. Alright, I do apologize that my exposure is weird. My camera ran out of batteries, and so I'm using a different camera, and for whatever reason, my video looks really underexposed here. But anyway, we're just continuing, just putting color in. That's all we're doing. Alright, now we're putting some color in the eye. And what I'm seeing towards the center of the pupil is a yellowish, reddish, brownish color. There's like yellows and reds and browns at play, so you always use your reference photo to as a reference of what colors to mix. I'm also using like a bluish green that's a little bit muted on the outer ring of the iris, and then more brighter lines of muted green tones towards the center of the iris. And I'm taking the yellow-red colors that I put in towards the center of the iris and those blue-green tones that are on the outside of the iris, and I'm dragging from the center to the outside of the iris, and then I'll go in and I'll drag some of that color from the outside of the iris into the inside of the iris, and then add some like little highlights in the area of the eye. But follow your reference photo, whatever it looks like, because I'm seeing like greens and yellows and reds that are going into the lighter areas of the iris, but I'm also seeing those deeper green colors going into the mid-tones of the iris.
Alright, we're back. I added some soft mixing white to my palette.
Alright, now I've added white to my palette. Now I can focus on areas that are brighter than the darker areas and bring them up by adding some white to my already mixed colors. In fact, I don't really even have to put the white into my mix colors because I can just put it right down. I mean, you want to mix it a little bit, but because there's already pigment all over this, I want to say canvas, but wood panel, I can mix my colors right directly into my glazes. And this is to bring up brightness, because this painting is starting to get very dark, which will happen when you glaze. You gotta remember that when you start making an underpainting, you want it to be brighter than the end result, because glazing will darken it. But because I went a little bit too dark, I did have to go in and bring white, which is fine. I was able to bring up the brightness enough, and I have that deep tone. Alright, anyway, this is the end, so I'll see you in the next video, I guess. Alright, like, comment, and subscribe. This is a disgusting beauty. I'm done.